Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shubha Rajiv, Professor in the Department of Life Sciences at Indian Academy Degree College Autonomous. In today's session, let us explore about ecosystem from Unit 1 of Environmental Studies. So let us understand ecosystem with a very simple example of a fully run campus of college where there are teachers, students, buildings, there are infrastructure, water, electricity, and if any one of this component is not functioning properly, then the entire system is affected. In a similar manner, in the environment, we have the biotic components and the abiotic components. Biotic components are otherwise called as the living organisms, and the abiotic components are called as the non-living organisms. So these two components are interconnected in the environment. They work hand in hand, and if any one of the component is not functioning properly, then the environment is completely disturbed or the nature is losing its balance. So therefore, we can define ecosystem as a community of living organism along with non-living components of their environment interacting in a single system. The other way of defining ecosystem in a simpler manner is an ecosystem is a system formed by organism in interaction with its environment. The term ecosystem for the first time was coined by A.G. Tansley, an English botanist, in 1935. So according to the studies, he had shown that ecosystem is a structural and functional unit of biosphere, and it plays a very important role or is essential for maintaining the balance in nature. The ecosystem can be classified broadly into terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. So let us understand this classification in more details. So ecosystem is broadly classified into natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem, and aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem are the types of natural ecosystem. So aquatic ecosystem again can be classified into freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem, while the terrestrial ecosystem can be classified into grassland, desert and forest. So let us understand these different types of ecosystem in little more detail. So let's first move on to understanding of what is a natural ecosystem. Natural ecosystem is the one which occurs naturally in the environment without any human intervention. So here, these natural ecosystems are completely independent of human interference, and they have the ability to operate and manage themselves. So these are broadly classified into two types, as I already told you, aquatic ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. So aquatic ecosystem is the one which is having a watery environment. The living organisms, which are the aquatic organisms here, are dependent on this watery environment for their survival as well as on each other for their survival. The terrestrial ecosystem are the different type of landforms. So let us explore more about aquatic ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. So the major type of aquatic ecosystem is the marine ecosystem, which is the biggest and most abundant ecosystem, and it contains around 97% of the total water present on Earth's surface, and it covers 71% of the total Earth's surface. So as we all know, marine environment is something which is highly rich in salts or is having high concentration of salts and minerals, and as a result of that, these marine ecosystems are biodiversity hub which are supporting different type of flora and fauna, much larger number of organisms and plants when compared to the freshwater ecosystem. Some of the examples of this marine ecosystem includes ocean, mangroves, coral reefs, tidal zones, etc. The second category of aquatic ecosystem is freshwater ecosystem. So this is the smallest ecosystem and comprises of water bodies like your rivers, streams, wetlands, swamps, ponds, etc. And as I told, it is the smallest ecosystem. It covers only 0.77% of Earth's surface. And again, depending upon what is the nature of the water bodies, the freshwater ecosystem is divided into lentic, lotic and wetland ecosystem. So lentic ecosystem is the one which comprises of slow moving water bodies such as lakes and ponds. So there are different type of plants and animals which are found in this lentic type of ecosystem, and here fishes can be artificially introduced. The lotic ecosystem is the running water ecosystem or fast flowing or fast moving water ecosystem. So here again a diverse type of animals are found like amphibians, insects, fishes, etc. And the examples for this lotic ecosystem is rivers, springs, streams, etc. The third category is the waterlogged area, which constitutes the wetland. Now these waterlogged areas can be permanently waterlogged or seasonally waterlogged. So depending upon that, the nature type of vegetation and the type of organisms which are found there are also varying accordingly. The second type of natural ecosystem is terrestrial ecosystem, that is the landforms. So these are again categorized into three different types: forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem and grassland ecosystem. So forest ecosystem is having the highest biodiversity as it is having rich amount of flora and fauna. There are different type of organisms which are surviving in this forest ecosystem, and their climatic conditions are also varying. So accordingly, we have forests which can be either tropical forests or temperate forests. So tropical forests are the one which are usually found with humid condition, whereas the cold region ones are having the temperate forests. The second type of terrestrial ecosystem is the desert ecosystem. So we all know what are the characteristic features of a desert. It will be experiencing very low rainfall, extreme climatic conditions, intense sunlight and very low availability of water. Accordingly, the organisms which are present here are the one which are adapted to these kind of extreme climatic conditions. So usually deserts are having shrubs and bushes which are adapted to survive in low water or scarce water conditions. Similarly, the animals which are found here are also having certain special adaptations to thrive in these kind of extreme climatic conditions. The third category is the grassland ecosystem, which are dominated by grasses, and there are very few trees and shrubs here. The main type of organisms which are found here are the grazing organisms, and therefore grassland ecosystem plays a very important role in agriculture as well. Let us understand the structure of the ecosystem. We have understood the types. Now let us move on and understand about the structure. So the structure of ecosystem, they are mainly made up of two major components: abiotic components and biotic components. So when we talk about abiotic components, those are broadly classified into climatic factors and edaphic factors. So climatic factors, some of the example like humidity, temperature, sunlight, rainfall, all these come under climatic factors. Edaphic factors are the one which are related to the properties of the soil, which includes your pH, soil pH, topography, minerals present, etc. Now the second major component of the ecosystem are the biotic components. So biotic components are again broadly classified into producers, consumers and decomposers. Producers, as the name suggests, they are the one which are able to produce their own food. So therefore they are also called as autotrophs. Consumers are the one which are not having the ability to produce their own food, rather they are dependent on the producers for their food. So these consumers are called as heterotrophs. And the third category of biotic components are the decomposers, which are the one which break down waste material and dead organisms and return them back to the environment. So let us understand a little more about these. So as I told, producers are called as autotrophs and plants are the producers. So plants are having special type of pigments called as chlorophyll pigments. Using these pigments, they can trap the solar energy and convert them in the form of chemical energy of carbohydrates, utilizing water and carbon dioxide. So this process is what is referred to as photosynthesis, by which plants will trap the solar energy and convert into chemical energy. So as the plants are capable of producing their own food, they are called as autotrophs. Auto means self, trophos means feeder. So they are able to produce their own food and they are able to feed themselves. That's why they are called as autotrophs. Moving on to consumers, there are 4 different types of consumers: primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer and quaternary consumer. So primary consumers are the one which are dependent on producers for their food. So they are also called as herbivores. The animals which feed on plants or plant products are what are called as primary consumers or herbivores. Example, rabbit, deer, grasshopper, insects, all these come under primary consumers. The animals which feed on the primary consumers are called as secondary consumers. So they are also called as primary carnivores because they are feeding on other animals. So they feed on the herbivores like cats, fox, snakes, etc. The third category is the tertiary consumers. So tertiary consumers basically comprises are large carnivores which feed on the smaller carnivores like wolves, large snakes and eagles. And the last category is the predators or the quaternary consumers which will be feeding on much larger carnivores. Example, your lions, hawks, tigers, etc. come under quaternary consumers. So these are the 4 different type of consumers. The third category of biotic component is decomposers, which are otherwise called as saprotrophs or reducers. So they are the one which will break down the dead organic material of plants and consumers and they release them into the environment in the form of simple inorganic and organic substances. So they are the one which helps in recycling the components in the environment. So all these activities of an ecosystem between the abiotic factors and biotic factors play a very important role, and the functioning of an ecosystem is based on the flow of energy. So as we all know that energy is the driving force of life. So in an ecosystem, the basic source of energy is sun. So sunlight is the basic source. So this solar energy is what is trapped by the producers and then it is passed to consumers. From consumers it is passed to the decomposers. Now in an ecosystem you have to understand that this flow of energy is unidirectional. It is not happening in a cyclic manner. So recycling of energy does not take place. So the type of energy which is there in the ecosystem can be of 2 categories, that is radiant energy and fixed energy. So radiant energy is like your light and fixed energy is the potential chemical energy which is bound to various organic substances. So entire flow of energy in any ecosystem is unidirectional in nature. So with this we have understood about how the biotic and abiotic components of our ecosystem are interconnected and how every component plays an essential role in maintaining the balance in the environment. If any one of the organism or any one of the factor is defective or is missing, then it is going to affect the entire ecosystem. With this, we have come to the conclusion of this particular topic called as ecosystem, its type, structure and flow of energy in ecosystem. Thank you.